All right, let's go. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Canva's World. It always gives me joy to be able to do this, to be myself, to share knowledge, to share what I've learned, and to also share my experience, because that's what I really do. So my name is, I'm not going to say my government name, but my name is Kamba, but I like to go by Queen Kamba, yes. I like to regard myself as royalty. And aside that, I'm an enthusiast of mental health, of self development, psychology. I like to figure out why we feel the way we feel. And, yeah, that is that on that. And I am also a poet, an artist, and a creative. And this is just one of my outlets. Now, that being said, without further ado, let's jump right into today's topic. Today's topic is, drumroll please, imposter syndrome. Yep. I know some people might not have heard of it. Might sound new if you do not really care about things like that. But that's why you have me now. Don't worry, I got you. I got you. I'll let you know what imposter syndrome is and how it might show up in your life. Because a lot of people deal with certain things, and because they don't understand it, it leads to depression and anxiety because you just feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with you. But sometimes, if you can just demystify some of these concepts and understand it, you tend to have power over what it is instead of that feeling having power over you. So, let's go there. What is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is, let me use the laziest, let me my own definition, like the laziest definition is feeling like an imposter in your life's story. So you feel like an imposter in your own journey, not in someone else's journey, in your journey. That is how I see it. And I think that's one way to define it in a very simple way. Imposter syndrome is you feeling like an imposter in your own life where you should be an original. So now, breaking it down a little bit, imposter syndrome shows up in aspects of self-doubt, anxiety, constant fear of failure, and not being able to accept some of your achievements, not being able to enjoy some of your glory and some of your happy moments because you're scared that they won't last. So you're scared that you won't achieve some things, and the things that you have achieved, you still want to take it away from yourself because you feel like it's not going to last. So if you ever feel a sense of, not belonging in your own story and not fitting in your own life's trajectory, you feel like you're an imposter, you feel like you don't deserve some of the things you have, or you feel like even the things you have, you might lose them because the things never last, and you find yourself being pessimistic towards your own self, there's a high chance that you're dealing with imposter syndrome. So now that I have defined imposter syndrome, I'll go ahead and mention the 5 types of imposter syndromes we have. Perfectionist. The perfectionist is somebody who sets high standards, very high standards that are sometimes unattainable, even for themselves. And so that means if something is not perfect, they've not done a good job. So anything short of perfect. And we know that rarely do things ever come out being perfect. In fact, there's beauty in imperfection, depending on how you look at it. But most times, things aren't perfect. And things might be perfect to one person, and that person looks at it with a critical eye and is like, I see an error there. So, really, perfection is in the eye of the beholder. Now, for people who are the perfectionists, people who experience this type of imposter syndrome, if it ain't perfect, it ain't it. And so they set themselves these goals that they can't achieve, and when they don't achieve it, they beat themselves up for it. The second type of imposter syndrome is the expert. Now, the expert is somebody who feels like they aren't good enough until they know so much about a topic. Now, let me tell you where the danger comes in from this, because I think I've experienced this a little bit. It took me a long time to even start the first video. It took me a very long time because I kept asking myself, okay, what niche? You go online, they tell you have to choose a niche, you have to choose the audience, you have to choose the demographic. Who is your audience? Who's your audience? Who's your audience? I'm like, ha. Now I like this type of topics. I love to talk about psychology. Sometimes I love to review shows. Like I'm not one person, but in like okay, I am one person. But when I mean I'm not one person, like I'm not just I'm multifaceted. Let me just put it like that. I'm a multifaceted person. I'm one of those people that do plenty things. I sing, I write, I do a lot. So sometimes I can't help myself. So when it was time to choose a niche, it was really hard. And I also wanted to talk about love, I wanted to talk about life, I wanted to talk about mental health and just topics, and sometimes talk about the news if I need to, but basically talk about psychological stuff and mental health. But one thing that always held me back was I'm not an expert. So if I talk about it now, will people not criticize me? So that held me back for a very long time. I was like, I'm not even old enough. At least let me be 30 first and I've gained experience because I'm just in my mid 20s. So if I do this thing now, in fact then I wasn't even in my mid 20s yet. So I was like, I'm too young to speak. I don't know enough. I need to learn this. I need to learn that. And then it held me back for a long time. So even when I started and things weren't going as planned, because I already had that struggle, it just came to my mind like, you see, the reason why my channel isn't blowing up yet is because I'm not an expert. I don't know these things. I'm not that informed. It took me a lot of time to know that they're already the experts. There are psychologists on YouTube. There are people with degrees, they're on YouTube. And when I needed to listen or learn from YouTube or any platform, I didn't necessarily go and check to see if this person had a degree. I just checked out the content to see if it was giving me what I needed. And if it was, I didn't even bother to check if the person went to school or not. And you see other people who probably don't even have a, an expensive camera, a better setup than you, doing the damn thing and doing it well. So you begin to question yourself like, am I okay like this? Why am I setting myself up for failure? So that's when I realized that I must have experienced that at some point. So that is the expert. Now the third type the third type of person that might be experiencing imposter syndrome is the soloist, or better known as the individualist. Let me see now very well. So the soloist is somebody who feels the need to do things by themselves. They don't want to ever ask for help. Thank God I don't have that problem. But I can understand it. Truly, truth be told, there are still some people I rather not ask for help because there are some people that if you go and ask them for help, they look at you like, oh, they no get sense. So this simple thing, they are not humble enough to teach you. So I can get that. But in general, if I see somebody that is knowledgeable and who is not going to put me down, but willing to teach me, I'm willing to learn. In the university, I joined many tutorials, especially when my results weren't going good and I did not understand what the hell was going on. I joined a lot of tutorials. In fact, sometimes I'll ask my course mates, like, come, let's sit down and discuss this thing together. I'm not proud though. As long as I know you're not going to demean me or belittle me, and we have mutual respect, because at the end of the day, I have to respect myself. And I have to be aware that I'm a brilliant person. So nobody should come and put me down or anything like that. So because I don't understand this one thing doesn't mean I'm dumb. And there are some people who will make you feel that way, who because you're asking them for something, they will now use that opportunity to belittle you. I dey ask for help. Oh. If I know that you are kind enough to help me, maybe not financial help, but if I want to understand something, like when I started video editing, shout out to Linus. If you ever see this video, I will disturb Linus. Linus will be on the phone with me for hours explaining how to use Premiere Pro. I knew they should, like, I will be grateful. I'm not going to overdo it, but I'll ask for help. And so if you find yourself in this category, just know that okay, there might be some imposter syndrome going on there that you need to heal. And the fourth one is the superwoman or superman, or just to generalize it, the superhuman. This one, when I read about it, I was just laughing. Superhuman is somebody that feels like they need to do more work than everybody else to be relevant and to be important. So the superhuman, based on the examples I saw online that rang a bell in my head, is they stay late at work after everybody has gone working, trying to prove a point and trying to prove something to themselves, and they're addicted to the validation that comes from the extra work. So they are not even doing it just for the extra work, but they are addicted or they want that validation that they would get after they've done the extra work. It's okay, but it's just good to be aware. At the end of the day, one of the greatest things that I have learned in life is self-awareness is key to a happy life. Once you're self-aware, you are halfway there. Because that means nobody can tell you who you are because you already know. Even if you have a ugly attitude, if your mouth is smelly, at least know that your mouth is smelly. Because that way you can solve your problem. But if you don't know and people around you are too scared to tell you because they don't want to hurt your feelings, you're in trouble because your mouth will smell forever. Nobody will tell you. So me, I'm here to tell you that your mouth is smelling. That being said, that is the superhuman. The last one, and I saved this one for last because this is another one that I've experienced. So I experienced the expert aspect of it sometimes, and I'm working towards it, and I'm embracing it more now, and I'm learning so much now that I'm learning, but I'm learning as I go. I'm not waiting to learn before I go. So that's one thing the expert does to people. You feel like you need to learn everything before you move. Now I move, learn. Sometimes I move. If I forget, I go back, learn again, I keep moving because I can't stop. You can't stop me. I'm unstoppable. I'm a person with no brakes. Okay, I had to do that. All right. The last one is the natural genius. The natural genius, there are people that are creative, talented, intelligent, and probably experienced that at a very young age in their life. And as they grew up and life began to be a bit tougher, they found it difficult to adjust because they feel like there are certain things you should be naturally good at. And so if they aren't naturally good at something, maybe they aren't meant to do anything about that or meant to excel in that field. So they just leave it. So they're good at certain aspects, but there are certain things they're not good at. So they just feel like, let me just leave it. Like, I'm not good at public speaking. Let me leave it. This is what I'm good at. Just want to focus on what they're good at and not face those demons. And I've experienced this, and that's why I saved it for last. Because I think that this is the one that has affected me the most. Okay, the natural genius. Using the examples I read and that I can relate to, growing up as a child, I used to come first in class a lot. Without reading, very, very young. So the thing not master me. So when it was time for me to actually read to pass, I struggled. I'm like, because I don't like reading. I did not like reading. I had to force myself because I'm just that kind of person. Like if we're having a discussion, I learn more from talking, from conversing, from debating, from listening and arguing. That's how I learn. And that's my strength. Me sitting down one corner to read and actually assimilate. I love to read poetry. I love to read artsy things, but to go and read book, like I just get it when we discuss and when we talk. But sometimes you won't discuss everything, and then you won't do well in the exam. So it took me a long time to actually work on that. For me now, I like singing. I like singing, but I never really learned music. And now that I want to take music seriously, I have to actually go and learn the basics. Like I have the voice, but I also have to learn how to use the voice. So now the voice might have come to me naturally, but the skills that I will need to manipulate the voice and to use that voice to actually, become a big instrument, I have to learn it. I have to learn other things, like I had to learn how to edit videos. It didn't come easy. When I was learning to edit videos, and that's when I knew that I had this problem. Like if I start learning something and I start getting headache, I would just leave it for days and then talk myself back to being that again. So just imagine if you actually left it and never go back to it, like, oh, this video editing thing is hard, I'm not going to go back to it. Thank God I started to heal and actually go back. But when something just hits me and it's too hard, I'm just like, I'm not doing. So yeah, if you have that problem, then you have the natural genius aspect of the imposter syndrome. Like, so you just need to work on it and know that there are some things that will come naturally and there are some things that you would have to work on. And that's the beauty of life. Just those different layers and aspects of yourselves. Those are the things that would come together to make you whole. And I'm going to end this on two notes. A quote from Dr. Valerie Young that says, everyone suffers when the brightest minds play small. It is such a shame for somebody so bright, so beautiful, so smart to not know their value or to deplete themselves internally and play small. That is equal to death, because that's the death of all of your abilities. Now, the second thing I'll end with is the parable in the Bible. Yes, it's a blessing. When they gave the person 5 talents, but the person had to go and multiply it. My explanation to that is, you actually working on the skills and learning new things, that is what will bring the multiplication. Because if you just bring back what was given to you, that means you didn't learn anything new. So you have to multiply your gifts, multiply your talent, and that will take work. And I hope that you enjoyed that. So in subsequent videos, I probably will talk on how to overcome imposter syndrome. I will do research. I also write articles on these things, and I have it on my website, loveandlightwithkamba.com. Yes, but that is still a work in progress. I'm still writing and publishing, and I'll also start sharing the links so that you can also read about these things. So I'm going to do more research, and I'm going to come with a curated list of how to work on each and every one of these imposter types, on each and every type of imposter syndrome. I hope you loved this topic. I really enjoy talking about it because I have some personal experience about it, and the ones I don't have personal experience with, I know certain people. I know you, and you know yourself. But yeah, shout out to everybody that watches. I mean, this is still a small channel and we're growing. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me if you've ever experienced any form of imposter syndrome. And for all of my friends that support me, thank you so much. God bless you. It means the world to me.